everyone, and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. Got a big, so far a lot of people have watched the blind cab tasting with Washington State Cab. Well, we're going to move on now to Washington State Chardonnay with the blind tasting. I know a lot of you like the blind tasting. I like doing it. It's kind of exciting for me. It's always cool to see what came out on top. I was so happy in the cab tasting. One of my favorite Washington State cabs, the Conto Cellars, was the #1 cab in the lineup. Also discovered a couple that I hadn't tried before. That's very cool. So now we're going to do Chardonnay. Chardonnay, the most famous white grape in the world, the most consumed wine in the United States is Chardonnay. But it got its fame in Chablis and Burgundy. So white Burgundy, Chablis, and Champagne, where Chardonnay is used quite a bit in the blend of Champagne. So we're going to do 4 Chardonnays, and let's get started right away. I can remember, maybe you can too, when Columbia Crest Grand Estate Chard was like the primo Chardonnay of Washington State. Everybody bought it. It was very well received, got big scores in the Spectator and the Advocate, and everybody bought that Chardonnay. But we are not going to have Grand Estate Chardonnay in this lineup. We have other wines, because the wineries have come a long way with Chardonnay, I believe, in Washington State. #1. I can remember when you really couldn't get, there wasn't a lot of, well, I didn't think was a lot of well-made Chardonnay in the state. Now there are many good Chardonnays out there. A few unoaked, a few oaked, and I don't know where these fall into that category. For a while there, I thought unoaked Chardonnay was going to be like the big hit. It was really going to take off. Still, people like it, but it kind of faded, fizzled out just a little bit. Of course, one of the most popular Chardonnays in the United States is Rombauer. This is straw colored, very light, a little bit of golden hue to it. Let's see what we get on those. Little apple and pear. Maybe a touch of pineapple as well. You got a little pear and pineapple and just a hint of apple. Let's see what we get on the palate. I was just going to say in the Chardonnay category, I forgot, lost my thought. Very light in style. This may be unoaked. Might have just a little bit of oak on it, maybe neutral oak. What I was going to say about Chardonnay is it is one grape varietal that the winemaker can really make a difference. How much oak they use, the type of yeast they use to kick it off, that sort of thing really can change a Chardonnay. So a lot of times the end result is because of the winemaker and the things that they do to that wine. Malolactic fermentation. This may be half malolactic or very little malolactic fermentation. It's where you take the malic acid, like the acid of a green apple, and turn it to lactic acid, which is the acid of milk. So it softens it up, gives it a richer taste. This is very light, very mellow Chard. The pear and pineapple and apple notes come through on the palate. He said it's very light. I'm not sure it has any oak treatment. You can't really tell. I should be able to, but if it does, it's like I said, it's just neutral oak. So the oak is not a prominent part of this wine. Chardonnay all by itself without oak can be very light, very easy to drink. I think this would be a great wine to have with halibut. There's a touch of creaminess on the mid palate, which says that they might use a little bit of ML. Full malolactic fermentation is where you get the wines like Rombauer Chardonnay. Yeah, this is a very interesting, just a very simple Chardonnay, but it certainly is well made, I believe. Okay, let's move on. I don't buy a lot of Chardonnay not because I don't like it. I'm not one of these Chardonnay haters, ABC, anything but Chard. It just goes too fast. I open up a bottle and before you know it, it's gone. So I got, more of a control issue for me, just not to drink too much Chardonnay in one sitting. But boy, you get a good, nice Chardonnay, it can go down easy. I do like Chablis, and because it not quite as easy to drink as New World Shards. Number two. Again, straw colored. Just really, really light. Just a hint of gold. Let's see what we get on the nose. Boy, this reminds me of kind of a baking spice Asian pear nose. It's got a hint of lemon too on this one. Aromatically very light. Let's see what we get on the palate. Not really a lot there. The pear notes come through very, very light bodied. Very light bodied. Just at the very, very end, I get a little bit of that baking spice component coming through, which would mean oak, but I don't get a lot of oak on this one either. Very delicate Chardonnay. I mean, this is crazy. Like I said, this could be unoaked, although I do get a little bit of baking spice, which hints that there might be a little bit of oak in it. Be curious to see how this turns out. All right. Surprised so far. These first two, sort of, kind of. Light acid, acidity's there. Yeah, very, very light. Very simple Chardonnay. Let's move on. Okay, number 3. Okay, let's see what we color. These are all really, really close. So none of them have a lot of, well, sometimes oak will give it color. These are all fairly fresh Chardonnays. Color comes from age a lot of times. It's pretty clear, pale, hay colored. Let's see what we get on the nose. Interesting sort of yeah, this is very challenged, but I just, for some reason, the word Kool-Aid came to my mind. Like maybe a lemon Kool-Aid, apple Kool-Aid sort of thing. Yeah, I'd say more apple Kool-Aid with just a hint kiss of lemon. A lot of apple on the nose. It's coming through now. Let's see what we get on the palate. This has a little bit more texture on the palate. The apple notes are big time, and I wouldn't go Granny Smith. I would go more into the golden delicious style apple. Just a little bit of little tiny little bit of butter. This one probably sees a little more ml than the other two. I don't think it's fully malolactic. So they can stop the malolactic fermentation halfway, whatever they want to do. Halfway, 3/4, quarter. They just decide where they want to stop that secondary fermentation to change that acidity. This has good balance. Nothing wrong with it. Just very, very clean Chardonnay with just a little more texture than the other two. So far, none of them have excited me too much, which is don't know what to say about that. 3 so far, and none of them have, like, boom, hit me. Wow, this is a great Chardonnay. These are all very, I would say very, they're trying to be Burgundy style, maybe, is what I'm getting from this. Because some white Burgundies can be very mellow as well. Number 4. No comments on the cab so far, so if you have a comment, tell me how much you like the blind tasting versus just... I can't do blind tasting all the time. They take a little bit more effort. Sometimes I just don't have the time to do them, and other times I just don't want to. Just be quite fair. Okay, this is very pale straw colored as well. Very clear though. All these are very clear, clean in the glass. Let's see what we get on the nose. This has a little, I'd say pear pineapple. Just a kiss of, I'm getting a kiss of baking spice. Get a little interesting kind of a ginger snap thing going on. Yeah, pretty interesting. Let's see what we get on the palate. Again, very light, very Chablis-like or white burgundy-like on this. All four of these seem to be leaning in that direction. And a lot of winemakers do like to kind of copy that style, that Chablis slash... You can't do Chablis in the New World. It's really hard. This has a... the core is like a very light pear, like an Asian pear. A little bit of apple coming through as well. Just a tiny hit of butter on the mid palate, and it goes into a nice, clean, fresh finish. These all have good balance. I mean, it's just a style that they're searching for, is that kind of light style, not heavily oaked. You don't get into a lot of that big butter thing. You don't get a lot of the big spices that come from oak treatment. Very interesting. This is a very interesting line. I'm very curious about the wines. Okay, let's line them up. Last, fourth to first. All right, there you go. Drum roll, please. What do we got? In fourth place with the straight up. See, I thought it was average. Not too super exciting, kind of simple. Number 2. Oh, that's weird. This is the Onro de Brule Vineyard. De Brule Vineyard is a very vineyard where the fruit is highly sought after. 2019. This rolls in at $33. So for a C, I'd say this is a fail. I mean, it was, you know, it's like I said, they all seem to be shooting for that kind of Chablis style. This is just an average Chardonnay, but for $33, if I want an average Chardonnay, I want to spend $10. I don't want to spend $33. Yeah, 13% alcohol. This is from De Brule Vineyard, which is in Yakima Valley. Very cool vineyard, by the way. I mean, like I said, everybody wants their fruit. In third place with a C plus B minus, so just hedging a plus about this one a little bit better, is the number 1, the first one I tasted. The Three Wheelers Winery 2019 Chardonnay, Columbia Valley. This rolls in at $11. Guys, okay, now we're talking a little bit of value. C plus B minus, $11. Yeah, I'd definitely take that over the Onro, which surprises me because I really like Onro wines. I'm just saying. In second place with a B minus, number 3. This is the Longship Cellars Luck Dragon Chardonnay 2020. This rolls in at $22. I thought this had a little bit more going on, a little more texture on the palate. Did I show? Yeah, I showed the Three Rivers. There you go. Yeah, and I love those guys, Cassie and Kyle Welch. Kyle's a great winemaker. Yeah, I like that one quite a bit, more than the other ones. Now, in first place with a straight up B was number 4, the last one I tasted. This one just had a little bit more going on in complexity wise. but still, all of these very burgundy-like. 2019 The Burn Bonafire Chardonnay. This rolls in at $19. I think the cab did not do so well in the last lineup, but this one showed a little bit better. So there you go, Chardonnay, Washington State Chard. Very, very surprised that not one of these showed any like that real big New World love, you know, where you get the big buttery kind of heavier style Chard. These guys are all going for the finesse side of Chardonnay. So kind of cool to see that all of these guys are doing that. That's very interesting to me. And yeah, there you go. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. Again, make a comment. What did you think about this episode? How do you feel about Chardonnay? Do you like them to be lighter style like these are? Do you like a little bit more butter or a little bit more malolactic fermentation? I'd like to know what you like. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. Subscribe to my channel if you like what you're seeing. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.